Well, you're awake now if you weren't before. Sorry, I'm not used to doing that from up here. So, good morning. I'm Laurel Whitehouse, a member of your parish committee. We are glad you are here in person or online on this first morning of official fall in our beautiful sanctuary. A special welcome to any visitors. We invite you to join us downstairs or online for community time following the service. Our mission here at First Parish in Wayland is to build community, search for meaning, deepen our spirituality, and make a better world. If you have questions about First Parish or Unitarian Universalism, a member of the membership team, someone from our membership team will be at the welcome table downstairs after the service to greet you and answer any questions. Reverend Lisa is not here, but she is always willing to answer questions by phone or email. Kate Holland, our Director of Lifespan Education, is also available after the service and would love to meet you. And a big thank to all our other service participants whose names are in the order of service. Please remember to silence those frisky cell phones for our time together. And now let's join in a moment to say hello to one another, including a wave up at the camera there to those online. Hello. We are fortunate indeed this morning to have Reverend Jo Murphy with us, the Executive Director for UU Mass Action, and she is busy mobilizing and organizing with the many UU Mass Action campaigns. She's also quite busy with her one-year-old daughter, Simone, and doing per diem work as a chaplain at Beth Israel. She loves liberation, dreaming, the ocean, and a fine roast chicken dinner. It's a good day for one. And Reverend Jo will be in the sunroom after the service if you want to talk to her about UU Mass Action. And now our chalice lighters, the Chapman family, will come forward to light our chapel.
With open minds and loving hearts,
to search for meaning, to care
for one another, to work together for a better world.
morning. The poet Nira Waheed, in her piece Osmosis, writes, "What can I do? When the night comes, I break into stars." Let us break into stars in the morning too, this morning. Let us start our day knowing that the stars still shine even when we cannot see them, and that we are made from all the ones that do not shine anymore. Let us greet this morning with all the power, shine, and brightness, the beauty that is a star. Let us worship. If you would now join me in singing hymn number 1007 in the Teal hymnal, "There's a River Flowing in My Soul." Since this morning we're all awoken by a boisterous chime, we are now going to continue our morning routine with a stretch. The sermon this morning is moving from grief to justice, so we're all going to participate in a social justice stretch. Now, this stretch, it can be done by seated, but if you feel so moved, you can of course stand up. So we're going to reach down to the grassroots for power. And then up to the sky for inspiration. Then we are going to stomp out injustice. And then we are going to move with the winds of change. And we are going to keep moving because it feels good on the hips. All right, so now that you're experts, we're going to do it twice more, and then the last time we're just going to do the motions, and I won't say the words. So reach down to the grassroots for power, up to the sky for inspiration, stomp out injustice, and move with the winds of change. This one is fast. Reach down to the grassroots for power, up to the sky for inspiration, stomp out injustice, and move with the winds of change. And then silently. Thank you. May this justice move from our bodies out into the world. Blessed be. Children will now go to their programming.
So we're singing a new tune. We're doing Gaudiamos ODA, which it's all the words you need to know, and it means let us be joyful today. There you go.
Good morning. I'm Julia Kenny. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a lay minister of this congregation. This is a time in our service that we set aside to acknowledge the joys and sorrows that we all hold. In both our sharing and in our witness, we affirm our covenant to care for one another. Each Sunday, we light a vigil candle in recognition of the pain and suffering being experienced around the world due to ongoing war and violence. May this small act help us unite in our prayer for the end to all suffering. If you have a personal joy or sorrow you would like to share, please feel welcome to come forward now or raise your hand and I'll bring the mic to you. Those online can type your joys and sorrows in the chat and I'll read them out. Let us hold each other in a circle of support. Blessed be.
We'll now take a moment of centering and quietly sing Spirit of Life, 123.
Today, we will be sharing our offering plate with UU Mass Action. UU Mass Action was founded in 2006 and is the original statewide UU organizing and advocacy group in the United States. Their mission is to organize and mobilize the 20,000 Unitarian Universalists and 142 congregations in Massachusetts to confront oppression. They provide pathways toward justice and identify opportunities in which we can live our shared values. They call on UUs to confront oppression and build power with coalition partners. Together, they confront systems of oppression and work to create a world where all people are honored and valued. All of their work is in partnership with larger campaigns and coalitions. Their pathways to justice are selected by identifying the priorities in which their congregations are engaged, taking part in their coalition partners' shared priorities, assessing legislative momentum, and identifying who are the most vulnerable people in the Commonwealth. If you are here for the first time, You are our guests. Please let the offering plate pass you by. If you choose to give online, there are orange cards in the pew that you may place in the basket if you choose to indicate that you did so. And now our offering in support of both First Parish and UMass Action will be gratefully received. I offer this poem this morning in honor of the autumnal equinox, which officially ushered in our fall season at 8:44 a.m. today, Eastern Standard Time. This poem was actually written for me. It's called This Autumn Morning. This autumn morning, let us give thanks for finding beauty where it is not expected. Let us be grateful for our bodies, for their strength in bringing us close to the earth, to their resting place beneath the stars. We offer praise and thanksgiving for the true gold of aspens winking in the sun, for the giant sky which shows us our place in the universe, for the mystery of spirals and magic crystalline wonders of salt. We say thank you. And we give praise to the holy light that warms us, and the winds that travel across space and time to caress and connect us. May it be so. May it be ever so.
In remote forests in Madagascar, there is an orchid that is somewhat star-shaped, a delicate branching of white petals called the star of the forest. She may look delicate, and one may think her name comes from her shape, but she is also the star of the forest because she grows in complete darkness. This isn't just a survival technique for her, she thrives in darkness. The orchid gets nutrients from underground fungus, does not need chlorophyll for photosynthesis, but cuts through the forest dirt every so often to attract pollinators such as ants. I loved reading about this orchid. I love knowing that there is thriving in darkness. It's also a reminder for me about the ability for life to survive and thrive in unexpected places, in dark forest floors that, though may be threatened by the destruction of the earth, at least for now, host orchids. Beautiful, delicate, perhaps a piece of joy, thriving orchids that live happily and healthily in the dark. We are all in need of the possibility that exists within these thriving orchids. As a leader of the organization UU Mass Action, working alongside organizers on legislation, advocacy, and change in the areas of Indigenous, immigrant, economic justice, and decarceration, and especially in the realm of climate justice, I feel the need for this possibility. In these movement spaces, I find doing this work standing in the awkward space of not being very hopeful, but having hope for the possibility of hope. I know that people have the capacity to do better, even when I see again and again that we do not act on that capacity. When thinking about what blocks my ability to move from having hope and hope to just hope, I think about my ability to grieve. I believe that if we take the time and space to grieve and be in grieving, we have a greater capacity for joy, for delight, and we need joy to continue on in these movement spaces, to continue to remember why we fight. A few summers ago now, Joni Mitchell, who is now around 80 years old, made a surprise guest appearance at the Newport Jazz Festival. She sang Both Sides Now with Brandi Carlile. This is a haunting, definitely sad-sounding song, and when I watched the video of this performance, I did not weep, I sobbed. I'm sure many of you have experienced songs, art, moments that feel that are breaking you open. I think this song, for me, in both its melody and the lyrics about knowing life and actually realizing you don't, broke me open. Now, in an example like this, it is best felt not by me talking about it, but better felt by singing. I don't know how many of you know this song. A few? Both Sides Now, Joni Mitchell. So please feel welcome to pop in. I'm not going to sing the whole song, but a little bit, and even if you just want to hum along, that would be lovely. The first lyrics are rows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air. Rows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. Looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in the way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow It's cloud illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing away you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave 'em laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds. I've looked at life that way. Now we're skip to the last verse if it's both sides now. I've looked at love from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. Thank you. Part of me sobbing in this moment was part due to beauty, part loving Joni Mitchell and still seeing her singing, and part of it was just I needed to cry. I'm reminded of the Adrienne Marie Brown quote, "Remember, you are water. Of course you leave salt trails. Of course you are crying." As a leader, as an organizer, part of accepting grief is necessary to staying in the work, necessary to staying connected to the world. Not only do we need to grieve, we are grieving in the midst of so many losses and circumstances that persist, that continue. We are tired of making so many decisions that are not flippant decisions, but that relate to our survival. We are tired of living through uprisings and seeing racism viciously persist. We are tired of violence building rather than diminishing. We are tired of war, of hatred being acted upon by violence, by occupation. We are tired of deportations continuing and immigration detention centers filling when we are told by some of our leaders that this would stop. We are tired of fighting for an earth that some seem to care about and others do not. We are tired of news of floods and fires, of fires and floods. We are tired. Of course we are crying. I cry all the time. I cry when I'm in a meeting for ending solitary confinement, listening to stories of survivors. I then cry at poems. I cry when I hear fellow ministers talk about our climate, our earth, and are so hopeful it's heartbreaking. I cry at songs. I cry just randomly in my car. I cry when I talk about the numerous losses we have all collectively incurred and the ones I have personally felt. I also cry at all the ones that are still to come. I let myself cry, and most of the time I feel somewhat better, or at least more attuned with reality, and with that a release, and with that I feel more ready. In a recent conversation with an organizer, we talked about the fear we encounter when trying to organize, the fear of everything going up or already being in flames. We talk about how to move from this fear, leaving this place so we can actually move. We talked about what it meant to move from fear, recognizing that part of this move is you have to see the new beginnings, the hope and possibility that when what we saw as normal changes, breaks down, when it ends, there's possibilities, hope for new systems, new potential, new hope. Whether or not we are able to build new and better systems remains an unknown, but that possibility, the possibility that as our world shifts, there could be something better, I think their ways of being is something I think needs to be felt more. But first we have to grieve. We have to grieve and accept our tears, tears that are a part of us and an expression of our love for life and beauty. In an article about eco-anxiety entitled, "How Can I Stay Hopeful as the World Burns?" Aisha Mirza interviews Robin Wall Kimmerer, author of Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants. Mirza asks Kimmerer how she stays hopeful, and she says, "The grief is heartbreaking, but what I try to do is feel that deeply. We can't look away from it because to me, grief is the measure of how much we love this world. Grief can, of course, paralyze us, bring us to despair and hopelessness, but when we recognize that the pain we are feeling is ecological compassion, it's love, love for a world that is strong and fierce and lets us say, 'Not on my watch.'" Kimmerer goes on to say, "I always ask myself and others, what do you love too much to lose? Commit to that and know that it's our responsibility to pick that up and carry it through the narrows of climate change. That's what the world will look like on the other side." It is no joke to feel grief deeply, especially when there's so much to grieve. But I think it helps when we know that in part to grieve is to love. As Bell Hooks, the writer, reminds us, to be loving is to be open to grief, to be touched by sorrow, even when sorrow is unending. Even if sorrow is unending, I think we can take comfort that so is our love. To be touched by sorrow is to know you love, and to love is to grieve. The full quote from Adrienne Marie Brown I quoted earlier goes, "Remember, you are water. Of course you leave salt trails. Of course you are crying. If there happens to be a multitude of griefs upon you, individual and collective, fast or slow, small and large, add equal parts of these considerations. That the broken heart can cover more territory, that perhaps love can only be as large as grief demands, that grief is the growing up of the heart that bursts boundaries like an old skin or a finished life, that grief is gratitude, that water seeks scale, that even your tears seek the recognition of community, that the heart is a front line and the fight to feel in a world of distraction is difficult, that death might feel the only freedom, that your grief is a worthwhile use of your time, that your body will feel only as much as it is able to, that the ones you may be grieving you, that the sacred comes from limitations, and that you are excellent at loving." Our broken hearts certainly have a lot of territory to cover, but I have hope and knowledge that our frontline hearts can cover it. I think it's going to take work, but not more than we can handle. To want to survive in and of itself is a beautiful thing, and to want to survive in a broken world on flames is even more beautiful, and perhaps it is at its core hope. I have found spaces to grieve, and as the director of UMass Action, I continue to grieve, and I continue to move, moving from meeting to meeting, legislative action to legislative action, crafting and creating moments of joy and delight where there are none, and treasuring them when they just come along. Let us nurture our longing to survive. Let us remember why we fight, and let us remember this by creating and finding joy. Let us find and enjoy the orchids that grow in complete darkness. Let us let ourselves cry and grieve. Let us remember that our pain is love, and that we have always had enough of that. Blessed be. Join me now in extinguishing the chalice with the words in your over. The what? Zone? Oh, here we go. Join me now in singing hymn number 1028 in the Teal hymnal, The Fire of Commitment. Of course you are crying. Of course we are crying. Let us let the tears flow as reminders of how deeply we are in love with this world and how this love fuels our work to save it. I end with words from Alice Walker. Even so, love, if it is a love, never goes away. It is embedded in us, like seams of gold in the earth, waiting for light, waiting to be struck, waiting to be struck. Let us cry, let us strike this love, and let us be with. Amen.